Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Carmine from New York, tries to teach photography. This is volume number 13. Wow, 13. That's great. I really enjoy talking about photography and cameras and gear and giving you guys some of my 48 years of knowledge. Um, let's see, let's get some stuff out of the way. First, my website. Who is this guy? Should I even listen to this guy? I didn't see any of his pictures. Well, there's thousands of my photographs on my website, Taverna.com. And you want to ask me a question privately, go to my email address, blackandwhitephoto@aol.com. And if you want to just comment below. And if you would, subscribe. Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. We're trying to hit 1,000. We're halfway, more than halfway there. Uh, it's exciting. It's exciting. You guys have really been great. You've been asking a lot of questions. I've been getting a lot of emails. That's great. I really enjoy it. I love it. 48 years of being a freelance photojournalist and a documentarian, mostly here in my home city of New York. All right, let's go into it. We left off talking about a lot of medium format film photography. Let's continue on that. I went out yesterday and I did a little photography right here where I live in New York City. And we have, being in New York City, we are able to have a diverse landscape photography opportunity, not just cityscapes, of course, Manhattan, but landscapes. Don't forget, we're on the coast. We're on the coast of the Atlantic Ocean. So we have a lot of opportunity that a lot of landlocked states don't have, right? So it's a great opportunity here in New York City for so many genres of photography. Street photography, of course, that's the first thing people think of, and they should. Think about the street photography here in New York City, from down below in the subways to up above, shooting from the top of the Empire State Building. Amazing. We have amazing street photography. Urban photography. We have seascape photography. And case in point, these all, by the way, all the photographs are on my website. You look at them there. Much better. CarmineTaverna.com. You can look at them much more high resolution. All right. So let's see. How can we do this? Okay. So here's a seascape landscape photo. You'll notice the square format. We'll get into that, what kind of camera I used. Let's get into this a little bit, why this is an interesting photo. I'm not bragging. I'm just trying to teach a little bit. And I took this photo just yesterday here in New York for you guys to show a few more tips about photography. All right. Once again, we went over leading lines, right? This leading line, right, brings you right into the photograph. Here is a beacon. All right, you can see all this much more detail on my website. All right, this is a beacon tower here, right? So you have the leading line here on the coast. You have two rule of thirds here at play, right? You have the horizon in the upper 1/3. You have the subject in the lower 2/3, right? The picture's not cut in half with the horizon here. And also you'll see that this third rather, right? This third of the shore line makes it a nice rule of third subject. Okay, your eye naturally, if you just open your eye and look, it naturally is drawn in by the leading line. It's pleasing that it has the horizon here, and it doesn't look too side heavy because of the shoreline here with the foliage. It's kind of balanced out by the storm clouds. Okay, let's continue with another example. This was also taken yesterday. The reason I took this to show you guys another rule of thirds. Okay, the first picture, all right, where was the horizon? Okay, the first picture, the horizon was at the top 1/3. Here, with this photograph, the horizon's at the lower 1/3. Okay, what does it also have? It also has a leading line. This leading line brings your eye right up to the fisherman on the pier. Okay, now is that the subject? Well, that's up to interpretation. The sun directly into the camera, making a nice lens flare, right? This is the time when lens flare is a good thing. It adds to the overall appearance of the photograph. Okay, you have reflection on the bottom. You have a shadow on the bottom. Okay, so here, example, leading line, 1/3 horizon on the lower third, and direct photograph with the sun and lens flare working in your favor. All right, let's continue. This was all taken on the same roll of film. We'll get into that in a second. Okay, this was all taken same area by that fishing pier. Now, this one you really have to go to my website, CarmineTaverna.com, and look at it. The reason that this is interesting, this was at sunrise, is the texture. This photograph is a photograph emphasizing texture. Okay, the texture, the subject, when you can see it clearly on the website, CarmineTaverna.com, you'll see the texture on these leaves. Okay, a leading line going right to the leaves here. Okay, this wood pillar, right, or fence post, is at the 1/3 position over here. Okay, so you have another rule of thirds, right? You have this subject 1/3 in, right, and again you have a leading line right here, the subject of the leaves, and you'll notice a little bokeh, B-O-K-E-H, which is just means blurred background. Okay, we have blurred background here, texture on the leaves, a little texture on the wood. Okay, what this photograph displays and tries to teach is leading line, texture, and placement in thirds. Okay, if this wood pillar was in the center, would have been a horrible picture, and I certainly would not have printed it. Okay, let's continue. Okay, this is, I call this industrial, more of an industrial type photograph. Now, this photo, okay, shows not only texture. When you get to the website, CarmineTaverna.com, you can really see what the focus point was. I believe it was around here. The whole thing is leading lines. Okay, it draws your eye not only into the picture, but it draws it out of the picture. I like when you have a leading line going right to the corner of the photograph. This is where it should be. All right, as opposed to, say, this pipe wasn't here and it was only this pipe, you'd have this area here blank. I don't like that. I like when you start right from the corner. Okay, it's in all these examples. Okay, here, you can't see it too well here, but because it's very dark. But the leading line starts at the corner. let's see. The leading line starts at the corner, right? Let's see if I can point it out. The bottom of this handrail, okay, while dark, it's still right in the corner. I like to go right to the point, right to the where the 45 degree is, right there, to start my leading line. You could do it. You can, if you forget to put your leading line right into the corner when you're taking the photograph, hopefully you can crop it and crop it so the leading line is right right at that corner, right at the 45. Okay, so that was yesterday. This is what I did yesterday. All right, so this is the end product, right? The photographs. Oh, and always do this. Always put on the back of your photograph. You don't have to use a fancy label, right? But on every photograph, right, you put your name, the date you took the photograph, the location of the photograph, the equipment you used, the camera, the lens, the film, and also I like to put a little more information in case I want to go back and maybe duplicate it. I put the developer and the developing time, and sign your work too. Sign your work, all right? But make sure if you sign it on a label so it doesn't bleed through. Okay, so that's the end product. You saw the photographs. They're on my website, carminetaverna.com. Okay. Now, how did we get there? Right? So we'll go backwards. How did we get there? What camera did I use for those photographs yesterday? I used ROLLEIFLEX. Okay. This is another. You saw the Yashica D, that twin lens reflex. This is another twin lens reflex. This is the ROLLEIFLEX. This is the 3.5 f-stop, widest opening, f3.5. Zeiss lens. It's a test saw lens. It's a 75 millimeter lens. Okay. And what does that mean? That's a normal lens. That's what your eye would see. All right. But it's 50 millimeters for a 35 millimeter camera. It's 75 for a medium format camera. All right. This camera, it's legendary. This is the camera you want to get to pass down to people in your family. This is a film photographer's holy grail, if you will. This is a ROLLEIFLEX, right? Not Rolleicord. Rolleicord was more mass marketed, lower price point, right? Not as sought after as ROLLEIFLEX. All right. I started with a Rolleicord because that's what I could afford. Then you sell it because the prices on film cameras, especially the ones they're not making anymore, go up and up and up and up. Okay. This is, if you want to get a gift for someone, get them a ROLLEIFLEX. Okay. In good operating condition. Okay. This camera shoots a 6x6, 6 centimeter by 6 centimeter frame. That's why I continued to print them, all right, in the square format. All right, that's full frame. That's full frame. This camera took this picture just like that, full frame. All right, there was really very little cropping involved. Made in Germany. Okay, now why are these so sought after? Why are ROLLEIFLEXes so important to a photographer that loves to take film photos? It's important because the lenses that they use. This lens, as in ROLLEIFLEXes, they are not changeable. You can't change this lens. All right, you can add adapters on top of it, like this lens hood, right, for a little bit of a telephoto. Okay, but these ROLLEIFLEXes, they're known for their lenses and the contrast that they produce. And that'll be evident when you go to the website, carminetaverna.com, especially in this photograph. Okay, the contrast, the sharpness, the bokeh. Okay, it just won't focus on a webcam. It doesn't do it justice. but go to my website, carmine.taverna.com, and you'll see all the photographs with the gear and the location, etc. All right. This this camera, now when I bought it, this is another little tips. When I got this camera, all right, years and years ago, okay, on eBay, same criteria. This is volume 13. Same criteria as always since volume 1, right? How to buy cameras or gear on eBay. Their credibility rating. eBay calls it feedback. I call it credibility rating. Minimum 99.3, no lower. Your goal is 100% feedback, credibility. How many feedbacks? You want thousands or at least hundreds, not 2 or 3. So when I got this, I got it for a ridiculous price because there was a flaw. Here was the flaw. This button right here, this silver button, is for the self-timer. It was missing. The seller pointed it out immediately. Well, you can see it in the photos too. There's just a stem underneath here, right? It was the first thing he mentioned. A good seller with 100% feedback. The first thing he'll mention will be the flaws. Missing self-timer button. He tells you right up front. Right up front. So I knew there are companies that sell nothing but camera parts. Not eBay. There are companies out there. I don't want to shout them out right now. All right. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I want you guys, you'll find them. All you got to do is Google ROLLEIFLEX camera parts. Boom. And you just put in self-timer button, and there is, it was like $6. It's original parts from ROLLEIFLEX. How do they get them? Well, when ROLLEIFLEX in Germany went out of business, they sold everything, all the parts. Of course, they were purchased en masse. Then they were sold to camera part stores, right, in bulk, right, and then sold to the consumer on a retail level. Okay, so I ordered the part the day I bought the camera, and they both came the same day. The camera got delivered the same day as the part. It just screwed right on. Very simply. Works like a charm. Okay? So that's another little tip of buying a camera or any gear on eBay. What you can look for. Now let's continue just for a few more minutes about the ROLLEIFLEX today. I always like to give you guys updated information about what's happening. Like if I mention a camera, I'm going to follow it through all the way. All right. So this is what? This is November 6th, 2021. I'm broadcasting this volume. All right. Today, not more than 15 minutes ago, I checked the prices. As you know, I always like to do for gear that I'm holding up. Okay. Right now, the best one I found, they're up to $425. Okay. $425 for good, working, tested. This seller hit all the right buttons. Tested, checked, CLA'd, clean, lubricated, and adjusted. And he hit all the buttons. No fungus, no haze, no scratches, no separation, no mold. Everything's working. He mentioned all of the shutter speeds. They all worked. Okay. Now, one more level of honesty is a seller will say, checked all the speeds, slow to fast, all sounded correct. And like I said, after a little while of working with film cameras, you'll know the difference by sound of 1/250th of a second to 1/60th of a second to 1/4 of a second. You'll say, that's exactly what that shutter should sound like. That's accurate. Now, to take that a step further, there are independent camera repair places that have the machine. It's about $7,500 where they put the camera in front of a light source that has a computer, and it actually measures accurately the shutter speed. And you will be amazed that a brand new camera, including digital cameras, when put on this machine, there's a tolerance. Say, even with a new camera or an old camera, you're taking a photograph at 1/500th of a second on this computerized machine that checks shutter speeds. The first click might be 1/498th of a second. The second one might be 1/506th of a second. There's a leeway. There's a leeway in all these shutter speeds, including on film cameras too. 1/500th of a second on a film camera, it fits within spec, like from 1/490th to 1/510th of a second. That's all in spec, and you'll never notice it in your final print. Okay? So a good seller will mention that. Sounds good to me, he'll say, or she'll say. Whenever I say he, it means she also. Okay? I get it. So let's get on. Right now, this is going for $425 plus $20 shipping. All right. This particular seller has 99.3% credibility rating. 99.3. Remember, I said the minimum 99.2. So he's within my guidelines. How many feedbacks does he have? As of today, November 6, 2021, he has 7,844 feedbacks. All right. Now, remember what I said. Only about 1 out of every 3 or 4 buyers, only 1 out of every 3 or 4 buyers bother to leave feedback for the seller. They get their stuff, no matter what it is, shoes, paint, camera equipment, a lens. Only about 1 out of every 3 or 4 buyers leave feedback. So what is that telling you? This seller, who's selling a ROLLEIFLEX, not this one, but someone's like it, has 7,844 feedbacks. That means that he sold to at least 21,000 customers. Okay? It's easy math. So let's see. Now, what else I want to tell you about the ROLLEIFLEX? Okay? ROLLEIFLEX, not ROLLERCORD, ROLLEIFLEX. I've been tracking these, the prices of these. All right? Remember, analog photography, which is what film photography is. It's analog photography, has had a resurgence since 2018 through the roof. A camera in 2017, right, has gone up 3 times since today. All right. For example, this camera, a ROLLEIFLEX, 30 days ago was $64 less, the average. So in 1 month, if you buy gear, like I told you, if you buy gears like a ROLLEIFLEX, this went up in value $64. So if you buy a camera, and this is for any, I would say almost for any good quality working analog film camera, chances are that it's going to go up every month. Every month. And I don't see analog photography coming down any day soon, because this rebirth of film photography is like no other time. You know, there was only film photography, and then digital photography came, so analog photography went down a little bit, and then it kind of stayed steady. Been since around 2018-ish, film photography has gone through the roof. Companies that, like, let's see, do I have it up there somewhere? I forget the name of it. They started making film again. Companies that haven't made film in ADOX, ADOX, that's it. ADOX. They make Rodinal, film developer, but they also used to make film. they're coming back up online. Kodak is coming, well, they've been back online, working 24/7 to keep up with the demand of 35 millimeter film, 120 film, sheet film, movie film. There are directors in Hollywood that will only use film instead of a digital movie camera. We're talking about Hollywood movie theater movies that are still only being made with 35 millimeter film or 70 millimeter film because they want the look. They want the film look that you're not going to get in digital. You're not going to get it in digital in post, in Photoshop, Lightroom, clicking on film effect. You're not going to get it. All right. So I wanted to touch base with you guys on that. These ROLLEIFLEXes, this model, this is not the top of the line. This is kind of by the bottom end, the bottom third of the ROLLEIFLEX line. The f3.5 Zeiss Tessar lens. Okay, you'll notice here, right? There's no light meter. Some of them have a light meter here. You'll see the selenium cells here. I mean, you could go through the roof. You can spend right now. There's a ROLLEIFLEX for sale on eBay. It's $1,500. All right, yes, mint probably used not at all or very little. It not only has the faster lens, but it has the original box, all the paperwork, including the original sales receipt from Germany. It's going for I think it was $1,492. All right. These are all investments. You know, like I said, if you like to do things like golf, you'll spend $200 on golf, come home, and that money cannot be retrieved. What are you going to do? Go on eBay and sell a story? Oh, my golf game today was great, and Joe fell because he was drunk. That's a great hobby. I don't play golf, so I don't understand that you guys that play golf will say, hey, that $200 was worth it. Yes, but as photographers, right, you buy this camera for the price of 2 golfing days, right, for $425. We can use this. We can get gorgeous photographs with it. Then we can sell it for more than we paid for it. These are film cameras today. If you buy them in good condition, keep them in good condition, they're investments. All right? Will it go up like a Bitcoin? I don't think so. Not that much. Will it go up as much as Amazon stock? Maybe not. But you know what? Slow and steady. This camera in 30 days went up $64. If you bought this camera 30 days ago, it cost you $64 less. Okay. So, what film did I use yesterday when I went out shooting? I used an Ilford product. Okay. Ilford Delta 100 Pro. Very good film. I have no problems with it. Don't get thrown off because they put the word pro or professional. They have to call it something. They're not going to call it Ilford Delta 100 Amateur. Right? If the word putting the word professional on it sells them another 10% worth of film a year, good for them. All right? But there's nothing special that a film, just because it says professional on it, is better than anything else. No. Now, why did I use it? I used it because, I keep picking up the same picture. I used it because their contrast, no, I like this one the best. Here. Because their contrast, okay, is pretty good. Their sharpness is very good. The tonal range from black to white. Right? That sounds like a stupid thing to say, but from black, pure black, right, to pure white, right? It's all there. It's all there. And this costs, never remember what I said. Never spend more than $8 for a roll of film. This is probably up there. This is probably $8 a roll. But you know what? I've used them all. You name it, I've used it. And there's a difference in the black and white film that you use, but I have to tell you, it's all about the content. It's all about, what did you take a picture of? What did you take a picture of? I could have picked the roll of the cheapest film that I have, right? Arista EDU Ultra. That's a $4.60 roll of film. The picture would have looked 99.9% the same. Okay? Don't go crazy. Don't spend a lot of money on very high price films. Try one roll every time you shoot. When you're a beginner, try a different roll of film. Japan Camera Hunter, JCH, he sells a great product. JCH film. It's a great product. Try his film. Okay? But also try Kodak T-Max. Try Ilford. Try Arista. Try them all. Try them all. Develop them if you can. Develop them yourself. Record how you develop them. Like, for example, when I developed this today, or yesterday, right, I used D76. Here it is. I used D76, 1 to 3, right? 1 part D76 to 3 parts water, okay, for 20 minutes at 68 degrees Fahrenheit, all right, which is room temperature, okay? If you store your chemicals and a gallon of water always in under the sink, whatever, in your basement, that's room temperature, all right? If you stick a thermometer in it, it'll probably be 68 degrees, room temperature. Now we're going into the winter. Don't get smart. Yes, some basements are cold, all right? So you might have to heat it up. But I'm talking about average. Average room temperature in the United States, around the world, 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know what that is in Celsius. Okay. Now, so let's continue about these photographs. All right, we're on the right track, right, to discuss these particular photographs. So, you know what camera I used? I used the ROLLEIFLEX. You know what film I used? The Ilford Delta 100. Right, that has an ISO of 100. Okay. Came home, developed them. I told you how I developed them. D76, 1 part to 3 parts, 20 minutes. I didn't come up with that ratio or time. There's a website, the Massive Developing Chart. All right. It's a free app. Bless this person or people that came up with it. Right. It looks like this. Don't ask me why that's not showing up. But anyway, on the top it says Digital Truth, digitaltruth.com, developing chart, massive dev chart. All right, and it's so simple. You put in your film, you put in your developer, boom. It'll show you a chart on, did you shoot 35 millimeter film or 120 film? Did you shoot it? Did you push it? Did you push 100 speed film to 400? It'll show you that time. Did you pull 100 speed film to 50 ISO? You could do that. So simple. this doesn't have to be shot at 100 speed. Just because it says 100 speed, you can shoot this at 400. You just have to develop it differently. So when you say, all I have is 100 speed film, I wish I had 400. Shoot this using your handheld Sekonic light meter. Set it at 400. Shoot it like 400. When you get home, or if you send it out, just put on it, push to 400. If you're developing it yourself, massive development chart, Digital Truth, it'll tell you if you shot this at 400 ISO, 35 millimeter film or 120 film, develop it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 40 minutes. All right, and then it gives you all the options. Develop it in stock solution, meaning you're not going to dilute it, all the way to 1-to-1, right? 50-50, 50% water, 50% developer, all the way down. Simple to use, deadly accurate. I hang my hat on that chart every time I develop it. Every time I develop the same film on a different day, if I develop this film tomorrow, I will check the massive development chart from Digital Truth because it's constantly updated. You can click on, when you get to that app or website, you can click on contributors. And there are literally thousands and thousands and thousands of photographers like you and me that develop our own film and have contributed. It's like, hey, I tried something different. I tried this film at 100 ASA, but I lowered the temperature of the developer, or I raised the development temperature a little bit, right? You can send them that information. They'll check it. And if it has meat to it, they'll publish it. They'll make it part of the development chart, and there'll be a note. You click on note, and it'll say it has to be at 69 degrees, or it has to be at 72 degrees. All right? So now, the film's developed. Now what? Now I have this 120 developed film. How do you get it online? How do you get it onto your website? You have to get a digital camera. Well, this is what I do. For 120 film, I don't use a scanner. I use my digital camera. You can use any digital camera. The higher the quality, the better. Okay? With a macro, this is what I do. And I use a macro lens. And I just put the camera on a copy stand. Okay? They're about $90. I got mine at Walmart. Just put in copy stand. The camera mounts facing down. You get a light tablet. Right? This is just a light tablet. It plugs in. It lights up. So this goes. You take the plastic off. You put the film. You get a piece of glass. Where did I get a piece of glass from? Amazon. What kind of glass was it? Picture frame glass. Now when you get it, you got to make sure that there's no bubbles, there's no waves in it. It's perfectly, optically perfect. You lay that on top. I tried magnets because this is also magnetic, right? But you don't get it perfectly flat with magnets. Put the glass on top. The camera is on the light stand. Manual focusing. The light's coming up this way. Manual focus. You use aperture priority. You want to use a nice tight aperture, like 16. Let the camera pick the shutter speed. It doesn't matter what shutter speed it is. You want to use your slowest ISO. The ISO I use is 64. Okay? Use the self timer so you don't get any camera shake. Make sure everything is level. Okay? You can buy, or you probably have at home, a little level. You just put the level here, make sure that this is level. Put it on the back of the camera, right? Because it's facing down. Put it on the back of the camera. Make sure the camera is level. And then, manual focus, click, self timer, 5 seconds, boop, done. All you need, one frame for each frame. Then, you take your SD card, or CF card, and then you have to put it. You have to process it in post. Now, here's where I'm really going to wrinkle some feathers. I don't use Photoshop. I don't use Lightroom. I find them too complicated. I find Photoshop and Lightroom too complicated. It slows me down. I have to process a lot of pictures. Okay, I print a tremendous amount of pictures. Here's the photo editors I use. And I usually use two. Okay, here's my workflow. I do all of this in less than a minute. All right, I use this photo editor. It's called Movavi. Movavi. Movavi Photo Editor 6. That's an older one. There's a newer one out. It's called Movavi Pickverse. It's $45 permanently. No monthly fee like Photoshop. $45. And it's yours to keep. Now, I put my digital images in there first. Why? Because it has the best dust removal. Now remember, we're dealing with film. Digital, you don't really have a dust problem unless there's dust on your sensor. Using film, you're going to get dust. You're going to get a scratch, okay, on the negative. So I run it through Movavi Photo Editor 6 first. I run it. They have a button called Object Removal. I call it Dust Removal. You enlarge the picture nice and big, and you just tap boop, 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 on all the dust and all the little whatever scratches. Boom, and it's gone. I also use that photo editor, Movavi, for my cropping and to level it. Like if my horizon line's a little off, they have a button. You can make them auto level it, but if it's having trouble, you can do manual. So I save it. Then I open up Luminar 4. Luminar. Luminar 4. They are, I call them the new kid on the block. They use artificial intelligence. All right. Right now, today, November 2021, it's going for $47. So you have the Movavi's $45, permanently yours. It's a download. It's software. It's yours permanently. And Luminar 4, $47. Yours permanently. Okay? Not for a month. All right? What do I use Luminar 4 for? It has artificial intelligence, contrast, a little bit of sharpening, a little bit of enhancement. It's artificial intelligence. You can't beat it. All right? Now, here's something that's very, how should I say this? That some photographers turn their nose up to. Some photographers love it. Some photographers want to get viral upset. It's a real hot button subject with Luminar 4. Luminar 4 allows you to change the skies. You can add clouds. You can add a storm. You can add a hurricane, a tornado, lightning, stars, planets. It's incredible. It's an enhancement. All right? Here's how I feel. If you have a photograph and you can make it better by adding a few clouds to it, I would do it. Because you know how, 48 years experience. Do you know how many times I've gone to the shore to photograph a seascape and it was the worst day ever? There were no clouds in the sky. Do you know what that makes your sky look like, especially in black and white photography? All right. This day, there were no clouds in the sky. So what did I do? I used the sun. This is not retouched. This is that's the real sun. That's what was really there. I didn't add it in Luminar. For a photographer, the worst to me, this is me, the worst thing, there's no clouds to photograph at a seascape or a mountainscape. Think about how much clouds add to your photograph. If you want to add through artificial intelligence a cloud, do it. Do it. It's your art. You have to understand the art of photography. If you go to a landscape, whether it's the mountains or the shoreline or even a cityscape, and you go with the idea, okay, let me shoot this in such a way that I know I can add a cloud or a storm cloud right over here. Isn't that the same thing as when you're dodging, right, or burning in the old school in your darkroom, right? Or now, like on Photoshop, you can dodge, you can burn, okay? Or adding a twinkle in an eye. Or how about all the portrait photographers out there, including me, who have removed the zit, a pimple, a hair coming out of somebody's nose? Isn't that the same thing? Hey, where's that big giant disgusting mole on my face? You removed it and made me look beautiful? You'll never hear it. The person will say to you, thank you for cleaning it up. Thank you for making me look beautiful. And that's what photography is. It's an art. If you want to use Luminar 4 and add a cloud, add a storm, a stormy sky to an otherwise sky that is just devoid of any interest, a blue sky, I hate to tell you, with no clouds in it or nothing of interest, is boring. You want to add, like a chef adds, what does he add to his food? Spices and everything nice. Do you think that there are chefs that saying, how dare you? You made this lobster bisque using cream? How dare you? And butter? How dare you? You're supposed to just use lobster. Boiled lobster. What are you, nuts? Cooking is an art. Photography that we do every day is an art. I do not have a problem. If you want to use Luminar 4, a $47 post-production, post-processing photo editor, and then at the end you want to add a little storm cloud, a little lightning bolt, go for it. Because you're creating art. Do you think that anybody told Michelangelo, oh, you have this angel with wings? Show me proof that there was ever an angel with wings. Show me. I don't see any feathers laying around. Yet, one of the top 10 greatest artists that ever lived. His artificial intelligence was in his brain, went down to his hand, went onto the brush, went onto the ceiling, or went onto the canvas. All right? It's the same thing. Me and you, photographers, are creating art. So I can say this. 48 years of photographic experience. And like I had to tell one viewer who asked me, how much classroom training did you have? How much classroom training did you have? And I had to look it up. I had to do the math. Because I'm going to be honest. And it was over 1,800 hours going back to the 70s. So, did I cover everything today, guys? All right? Yes, I think I did. All right? Maybe next time we get together, I will discuss how I scan 35 millimeter film. I have discovered a film scanner that beats the you know what out of a flatbed scanner. What's a flatbed scanner? It's like a copy machine. You lift the top, you put the film on the glass, you close it, you wait. Bzzz, takes forever. Okay, I have found a film scanner. You just put in the strips of film. You press one button, and it goes into your computer. All right, we'll discuss that. That's not for 120. That's not for this. That's for 35 millimeter. We'll go into that next episode, next volume. All right, guys. Wow, 50 minutes. 50 minutes, and it went by so fast because I totally enjoy discussing photography, film, cameras, post production, developing, printing. I didn't even tell you about how I print. That's another volume altogether. All right. We got up to post processing, but I didn't tell you how I print yet. You got to keep tuning in. And don't forget, do this. Do this. Just do this. All right, guys. It's been a blast. The last, 51 minutes have gone by so fast. I really enjoy this. And my dogs didn't bark too much. They barked a little today, but not too much. All right. So what do I want to say is have a great day. Have a great night. And I always say this because I've done this to other YouTube channels. If you can't sleep, watch this video. Maybe I'll put you to sleep. Take care.